This year, I'm turning 36. As crazy as that feels, I'm enjoying reflecting on this last decade of my life. It was around age 20 that I really caught the travel bug. So when I look back on my 20s, I'm in awe of how much I've done. I've been to 6 continents, and Antarctica is still on the bucket list. I visited over 30 countries, lived in 4, worked or volunteered in 11, and even become an Australian permanent resident. I've tried bartending, apple picking, tour guiding, surfing, hiking, camping, rock climbing, scuba diving, farming, island hopping, language learning, salsa dancing, housekeeping, and so much more. Your 20s are the perfect time to explore the world, try new things, and put yourself out there. It's that sweet spot of having more freedom than childhood, but fewer responsibilities than later in life. To inspire my viewers to embrace travel during their 20s, I'm going to share some of my favorite destinations. Here are 20 places to travel in your 20s. Though this doesn't even scratch the surface of amazing places to travel on this beautiful planet, these are my favorite destinations that I visited in my 20s. In my 20s, I was looking for mostly outdoor adventures, cool cultural experiences, and places that were cheap. All of my travels in my 20s were funded by hospitality jobs and a bit of travel writing. Though I've loved most of these jobs, they've never paid very well. So I always prioritized destinations that were affordable and worked really hard to save money, of course. Whether you're looking for cheap locations, epic adventures, fun nightlife, or somewhere off the beaten path, here are my top recommendations for 20 places to travel in your 20s. My list of 20 places to travel in your 20s includes cities, regions, and entire countries. Though it's really hard to pick favorites and compare destinations that are so different, I'll put the list into a general order from my most favorite to my lesser favorites. I'll also add that everyone will have a unique travel experience anywhere in the world, and the quality of your trip is up to you. These destinations can be affordable if you're smart with money. They can be safe if you use caution and common sense. They can be enriching if you put in the effort to try new things and connect with the culture. Try to be an open-minded, responsible traveler, and you'll likely have some terrific trips. Now, let's get into the list. Top 20 places to travel in your 20s, based on personal experience. 1. East Coast of Australia. You could say I'm a little biased putting Australia's East Coast at the top of this list. I have lived here for 7 years and worked for an Australian travel company for 2 years. But that just means I have extensive knowledge of this gorgeous area. And it is undoubtedly one of the most amazing places in the world. Here you can scuba dive on the Great Barrier Reef and hike through the world's oldest tropical rainforest. See white silica beaches in Jervis Bay or the Whitsundays. Admire iconic sites like the Sydney Opera House or the 12 Apostles. Road trip across the world's largest sand island. Spot kangaroos, dingoes, and koalas. Drink amazing coffee. Camp on the beach and wake up with a sunrise swim. It's honestly heaven on Australia's East Coast. Though Australia is on the more expensive side, you can save money by booking an optimized itinerary or doing a working holiday and earning some money to fund your travels. 2. Thailand. I think any seasoned traveler would put Thailand on their list of places to travel in your 20s. It has a tropical climate, epic nightlife, lush natural beauty, a heartwarming culture, and it's super cheap. My best friend and I backpacked around Thailand for a month when we were 22. We stuck to the basic Thailand tourist route of Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, Koh Phi Phi, Ao Nang, Koh Samui, and Koh Pha Ngan. But it was one of the best trips I've ever done. Thailand absolutely lives up to its hype. The food is spicy and flavorful, and the landscape is magical. The locals always wear a smile, and the cities and towns feel very safe. Thailand is one of my favorite countries, and I highly recommend it to any backpackers, solo travelers, or female travelers. 3. London, UK. London is one of the world's most famous cities. It has famous landmarks like the Tower Bridge, Big Ben, Trafalgar Square, the Millennium Bridge, St. Paul's Cathedral, Hyde Park, Buckingham Palace, and Notting Hill. Some travelers in their 20s might think London is too expensive and overrated. I couldn't disagree more. There are plenty of tourist traps in London, but there is so much beauty in between it all. Visit Richmond Park, where you can pick wild berries and see giant stags wandering through the greenery. Or wander through Brick Lane, where every building boasts captivating street art. Duck into Neil's Yard, a quiet corner of Covent Garden with vibrant colors and dangling vines. Stroll around downtown at Christmas time, where festive lights make the city feel like a snow globe. It's my favorite city in the world, and it's full of music, history, food, art, architecture, and charm. 4. Portugal. For beautiful and affordable places to travel in your 20s, Portugal is a great option. This small but vibrant European nation has so much to offer. There are rugged coastlines with picturesque beaches begging you to surf or swim. There are idyllic countrysides dotted with vineyards and historic towns. Cities like Lisbon and Porto burst with music, color, and energy. Both cities are some of the most beautiful I've seen, with crazy attention to detail when it comes to architecture and design. The food is rich, and the wine is sweet. Heart-wrenching fado music blasts from cafes and impressive castles sit atop hillsides. I also found Portugal to be a bit more affordable than Spain or France, making it an ideal European destination for a budget traveler in their 20s. 5. Cape Town, South Africa. After London, Cape Town might be my next favorite city I've ever visited. There is much debate about whether Cape Town is safe or not, and I'm not sure I would recommend it to a young solo female traveler. But there are ways to enjoy Cape Town safely and responsibly. You can visit with friends or a partner, or make friends in your hostel if you're traveling alone. Try to meet some locals through a hostel or work exchange who will help show you around. It's good to have some friends for activities like hiking Table Mountains or Lion's Head. You can also book tours or rent a car to explore the majestic coastline and places like Muizenberg Beach, Boulders Beach, Camps Bay, and the nearby Stellenbosch wine country. Or head right outside the city on a guided safari tour and marvel at African animals in the wild. Cape Town is colorful, wild, and full of cool things to see and do on a budget. 6. Italy. Few travelers can leave Italy without falling completely in love with it. From the hearty food to the passionate language to the glimpses of ancient history, Italy definitely lives up to the hype. Traveling through Italy can be affordable or luxury, depending on how you do it. So, if you're looking for cheap places to travel in your 20s, Italy can be done on a budget. Try things like work exchanges, free and non-touristy activities, or student discounts. In iconic cities like Rome and Florence, all the top attractions are free on the first Sunday of the month. And you can easily explore stunning places like Venice, Cinque Terre, or the Amalfi Coast on a budget. These areas are so gorgeous that you'll be content just walking around and sightseeing for free. 7. Antigua, Guatemala. Guatemala as a whole is a fabulous country to travel in your 20s. You can check out the Mayan ruins in the north, swim in pristine jungle pools in the center, tour traditional towns around Lake Atitlan, and visit the Caribbean or Pacific coasts. Antigua, in particular, is a hotspot for tourists. I still loved the city even though it is pretty touristy. It feels relatively authentic, and it definitely felt safe and comfortable when I was traveling alone at age 24. Antigua is also one of the most picturesque cities I've visited. There are brightly colored buildings framed by cobblestone streets and volcanoes in the distance. You can see crumbling ruins right next to an ornate, bright yellow church. There are lovely parks, bustling markets, and epic hikes right on the city's doorstep. The overnight hike up Volcan Acatenango outside Antigua was one of the best things I've ever done. It was a grueling hike, but the sight of a nearby volcano erupting lava all night and the sunrise over the mountain peaks was priceless. 8. Croatia. Croatia is becoming more and more popular with backpackers every year. It used to be sort of a hidden gem in Eastern Europe. Now it's basically as touristy as Italy or Greece. But this small nation on the Adriatic Sea is still worth visiting. Places like Split and Dubrovnik, though touristy, are stunning with their narrow cobblestone streets and historic coastal architecture. They have the rocky beaches and open-air eateries that you look for in a Mediterranean getaway. Other less touristy cities inland, like Zagreb and Osijek, showcase the grand town squares, the early morning markets, and the intricate architecture of humble Eastern European towns. In between the cities, you can find lush waterfalls at Krka National Park or Plitvice National Park. Croatia's countryside is beautiful, and its people are so kind. It's easy to hop around Croatia by train or bus and explore on a budget. 9. Ecuador. Though Ecuador is a fantastic destination for any traveler of any age, I had a particularly enriching experience here in my early 20s. It was the first place I traveled on my own outside of Europe, and it was the first place where I tried work exchanges. I wanted to practice my Spanish and have immersive cultural experiences, so I did 2 work exchanges with locals in Quito and in Mindo. For young travelers eager to immerse themselves in South America, Ecuador is the perfect place. It's safe, affordable, and the Spanish is easy to understand compared to some other South American countries. It's relatively modernized and has good infrastructure, but it also holds strong to tradition and isn't too commercialized. There is so much to see in Ecuador, from the volcanoes and villages of the highlands, to the hustle and bustle of Quito, to the forests and waterfalls of the Amazon rainforest, to the coastal beaches and the Galapagos Islands. 10. Transylvania, Romania. Romania is not a super popular destination for travelers in their 20s, but it should be. I absolutely love Eastern Europe in general because it's less touristy than Western Europe. That means it's affordable, the people are welcoming, and there are few crowds wherever you go. Romania was extra cheap and uncrowded because I traveled there in the middle of winter. But I wouldn't change a thing about that trip. It's safe, easy, and cheap to hop around the quaint little towns and magnificent castles of Transylvania by train or bus. The scenery is gorgeous, and the locals are always friendly even if you speak none of the language. 11. Cusco, Peru. Many travelers stop over in Cusco before or after their visit to Machu Picchu. But I highly recommend slowing down and experiencing the magic of Cusco for longer. I spent a month here working as a bartender in a hostel. The trips I took to the nearby Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca, and Rainbow Mountain were epic, but the allure of Cusco stands out the most when I look back on this trip. Cusco is a popular tourist city with wobbly streets, colorful markets, and grand architecture. It's a fun, cheap, and safe place to explore, hike, and party in your 20s. You'll likely meet lots of other travelers, especially if you stay in one of the big party hostels. But even if you're not into nightlife, Cusco will surely charm you. Take an early morning stroll through the quiet hilly streets or feast on an almuerzo at a local market. Admire the delicate handicrafts or visit the nearby ancient ruins. Cusco is a true gem of Peru, not just a stopover to be forgotten on the way to Machu Picchu. 12. Sofia, Bulgaria. In my early 20s, one of my favorite things to do was book a random weekend trip to a European city I knew nothing about. The 4 days that I spent in Sofia, Bulgaria, were so much more amazing than I expected. I wasn't expecting Sofia to be bad, I just wasn't expecting it to become one of my favorite European cities. Sofia has a vast history full of tolerance and compassion. Bulgarians are proud of their rose beauty products and fresh dairy products. The architecture is insane, from the St. Alexander Nevsky Cathedral to the ancient Rila Monastery. You can join free walking tours where the locals will happily introduce you to their history, culture, cuisine, and street art. I also made great friends at my hostel, which enhanced the experience. We went on a pub crawl and ended the night at a weird Bulgarian heavy metal club. We dined at some amazing healthy cafes, got lost in the forest, and cozied up in adorable tea houses. Sofia was exceptionally charming as well as affordable and safe. 13. Atlas Mountains, Morocco. I sometimes had mixed feelings about Morocco in the month that I spent there. The culture shock was strong, some people were quite pushy, and the cities were overwhelming. But when you leave the big cities, you can discover the real magic of Morocco in places like Chefchaouen or the Sahara Desert. The Atlas Mountains were undoubtedly the highlight of my time in the country. Just driving into Imlil, you'll pass traditional, brown brick villages nestled in between dramatic, arid peaks. We did a few hikes around Imlil, including one full-day hike into the remote mountains. We hiked up steep ridges dotted with goats in the intense heat, chugged freshly squeezed orange juice on top of the mountain, and hung out with the village kids who lived quite literally in the middle of nowhere. The Atlas Mountains have a quiet sense of tranquility that is so different from the rest of Morocco. It's one of the best places to travel in your 20s to connect with nature and see a non-touristy side of a pretty touristy country. 14. San Diego, USA. It took me a long time to get to Southern California considering how long I've lived in the USA and how many people have told me I would love it there. I finally visited San Diego when I was 27 and it greatly exceeded my expectations. San Diego is kind of hard to explore on a budget. It's an expensive city in terms of accommodation and dining out. Plus, there is little to no public transport, so you have to take lots of Ubers if you don't have a car. I was lucky to stay with a friend for free, and we did lots of free activities like hiking and beach hopping. And the sunny city of San Diego truly blew me away. From the turquoise waters of La Jolla, to the rugged trails of Torrey Pines, to the grand architecture and art galleries of Balboa Park, there is so much to see and do. We ate giant burritos on the beach, strolled through Little Italy, and spontaneously cliff jumped at Sunset Cliffs. We drank margaritas at a secret bar and watched the sunset over the city in a grassy park. I absolutely loved San Diego, and it's a great getaway for Americans in their 20s who don't want to go abroad. 15. Costa Rica. Filled with rich green forests, abundant wildlife, addictive reggaeton music, and idyllic beaches, Costa Rica is a magical place. Nestled in Central America with coastlines on the Caribbean Sea and Pacific Ocean, this small country has a lot to offer. Unfortunately, I didn't actually explore the country very much. I volunteered at a surf camp in Tamarindo and stayed there for 2 months, with a few days trips to surrounding areas. Most of days were spent learning to surf at Tamarindo Beach, dancing at the lively local clubs, and bonding with my fellow travelers at our camp in the jungle. We slept in moldy tents, drank rum in the pouring rain, listened to howler monkeys in the trees, did sunset yoga on clifftops, and swam in waterfalls with no one else around. This experience changed my life because I met my Australian partner, who I'm still with 7 years later. Because of this, Costa Rica will always have a special place in my heart. Even if you don't choose to work at a surf camp like I did, you're sure to feel a connection with the serene natural beauty and vibrant culture of Costa Rica. 16. Bali, Indonesia. Bali is another iconic place to travel in your 20s. Supposedly Bali used to be a hidden gem. Now, parts of it are completely overrun with tourists. You just have to visit the areas that are right for you. If you just want to party with other backpackers, you can go to the main hubs of Canggu or Seminyak. But I would avoid these areas if you're looking for more nature, culture, and tranquility. Ubud and Uluwatu are touristy, but slightly more mellow and charming than the big hubs. You can enjoy quiet walks, forests, waterfalls, temples, and rice terraces in Ubud. Or drive a motorbike around Uluwatu and visit turquoise beaches and trendy cafes. I also recommend taking a trip to the nearby Nusa Lembongan, which has a laid-back vibe and exquisite coral reefs. 17. Siem Reap, Cambodia. Those on a really tight budget can visit Cambodia in Southeast Asia. The flights there will likely be your biggest expense. Once you arrive, everything is insanely cheap. You can stay in amazing hostels for $5 per night. A meal will cost you less than $1. Epic day tours will be maybe $20, $50 at the absolute max. It's a wonderful place to go if you're in your 20s with little money. Most people visit Siem Reap to tour the ancient temples of Angkor Wat, which is incredible. You can hire a local to drive you around the temples by tuk-tuk for 1, 2, or 3 days. From the sunrise over Angkor Wat, to the ancient faces and elephants carved into stone, to the giant trees slowly creeping over the temple walls, Siem Reap is a magical place that everyone should see in their lifetime. 18. Czech Republic. The Czech Republic is an underrated European destination. Prague, the capital city, is on most travelers' radars, but the rest of the country is amazing as well. You can explore this relatively small but stunning country on a budget easily, as prices are quite cheap compared to neighboring countries like Germany, Switzerland, or Austria. Start a trip in Prague, where you can stroll through the colorful old town, drink cheap beer, and feast on sugary trdelniks. Then visit the smaller towns and countryside. You can take on some incredible hikes, see crazy rock formations, stroll through quiet forests, bike along rolling green hills, and drink with the Czechs in their cozy pubs. 19. Miami, USA. For American travelers who want to experience the zest and energy of Latin America without leaving the country, go to Miami. This iconic U.S. city in southern Florida is exactly what you would picture based on all the songs about it. There are tan, buff, beautiful people prancing around in minimal clothing. The vast stretch of Miami Beach gleams under the hot Florida sunshine, palm trees swaying in the breeze. Scents of spicy Cuban, Mexican, and Puerto Rican cuisine float through the streets. Art Deco buildings bring bright colors and cool shapes to the area. Enticing hip-hop, reggaeton, and salsa music blasts out of every venue. Miami is hectic, but it's so much fun. And it's the perfect place to party with friends in your 20s. Lounge on the golden sand all day and dance to classic Pitbull tunes all night. Eat street tacos and visit a salsa club in Little Havana. Exercise with the muscle heads at an outdoor gym and sip fruity cocktails overlooking the water. Miami is a blast. 20. Budapest. Budapest is another one of the best places to travel in your 20s. The capital city of Hungary is magical, and it's another city that exceeded my expectations. With enchanting castles, grand boulevards, traditional markets, and prominent landmarks, there is lots to admire when you walk around Budapest. And there are many fun activities to fill the time as well. You can cruise along the Danube River and get the best views of the hilly city. Do some wine tasting and sample the best Hungarian wines. Visit a cozy tea house and sip on a hot beverage up in a loft. Tour the glittering Christmas markets if you're visiting in winter. Lounge in a grassy park if you're visiting in summer. Visit a local bathhouse and soak in the hot water with the locals. Or, if you want to party and enjoy the nightlife, Budapest has some amazing ruin bars and clubs. Budapest is another city that's affordable, safe, and lively. It's perfect for a trip in your 20s. Your 20s are the perfect time to step out of your comfort zone, and with so many amazing spots around the world, the possibilities are endless. Each destination has its own unique charm, and it's all about creating memories that will last a lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future travel tips, adventures, and inspiration. Also, share this video with your friends. Who knows, maybe they'll want to join you on your next adventure.